I'm Oren Tatcher, I'm an architect, and I want to show you some of the missed opportunities that we see now in Hong Kong in terms of redevelopment that destroys heritage buildings and neighborhoods, and maybe point out some of the opportunities we could have in those locations if we didn't just send in the wrecking ball and the developers with their concrete trucks. So what we're looking at here is what the Urban Renewal Authority calls the H19 project, which will take the end of Staunton Street, the edge of Soho, and turn these old Chinese buildings into a couple of residential towers and presumably some commercial facilities at the podium. In the process, most likely destroying the character of the existing neighborhood. So we'll go downstairs and take a look in a bit, but you can see even from this rendering that was published by URA, they are trying to preserve some of the buildings, but it's mostly going to be, it's a single building, and this is an old market, and on top of them they're going to drop these big towers. So that's kind of the character of the place we're going to be getting. You can see here the kind of the section across the site. And interestingly, one of the buildings is going to be demolished, which is the one at the corner of Staunton Street in Aberdeen. Has some really nice renovated units in it, including one that was recently published in the design section of a prominent local newspaper. Looks very nice, it's very loft-like, and it just indicates a kind of spaces if you just let people take over these buildings and renovate them and turn them into something else. It could really be the kind of urban environment that you see in world class. Check this out. That's actually part of the charm of this area. It's quite historic. It's an old ladder street, and to our left is another very important site, which is the former, that used to be the old Central School, and then became Queen's College, and after the war it was turned into the police merit quarters, merit police quarters, and it's been sitting empty for I think 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years. And what to do with this site is also something that's very much on the agenda of the Hong Kong government, but there's I think now a consensus that it shouldn't be turned into just another big residential development, which was the original plan.
It's a shame because it's got such character.
Oh yeah, I mean this whole area has tons of character.
It's got these great wall trees.
Yeah. Actually, the wall trees will be preserved in any case, but it's a very big site, and needless to say, worth a lot of money.
How about this wall tree here?
Well, that's it. Okay, but now we're getting to the affected area. What I want to do is actually continue walking up.
No, wait, I have a question for you, though. You want to tell me that this broken down old building should be saved, and instead of having a beautiful, new, usable high skyscraper?
Well, I wouldn't put it quite that way. That's the way URA would put it. I would say I want to preserve that charming old building, renovate it, instead of replacing it with yet another typical Hong Kong cookie cutter, bay windowed, glazed tiled, 350 square foot apartment complex, because we got those scale of it. I mean, these buildings, you may think they're nothing special, but actually they are quite nice in their own way. I mean, center stage is what, if government and developers left to their own devices, would turn this whole city into center stage. Now, I mean, yeah, we don't need to keep going because then you get into Kane Road and so on. But feel the scale of it. It's charming side lanes, which are all, I mean, look at this building here. Can you imagine, like, clean it up, renovate it? You can clean it up and renovate it, and it's a really charming old building.
Yes.
Actually, architecturally, it's quite good too.
Well, it has a lot of potential, absolutely.
Oh, huge potential. I mean, mean, in any city in the world that I know of, it would be considered a gem. There would be a bunch of young people who are dying to get their hands on it, renovate it, and turn it into something really great. And look at the nice kind of feeling of this whole area, kind of the scale of a neighborhood and so on. Now, make no mistake, I'm talking about gentrification, because the people who are living here now obviously are poor, and obviously the interiors of these apartments are not something that most people want to live in. So I'm not advocating maintaining it in its charming, rundown current state, because that's not fair.
Right.
And it's not appropriate.
No.
But all I'm saying is that gentrification can take different paths. And what we have here is a unique, maybe the last pocket in Hong Kong that really feels like a village.
Right.
It's a vestige of something that used to be everywhere. And maybe we can just keep this one. And it can be gentrified without changing it, without changing the scale, without changing the feel. And, you know, actually recreating the sort of the texture of the original neighborhood. This is a historic market building. Historic being, I think it's from the 1950s. It's not that historic. But curiously, that's one of the buildings that's going to be maintained. But drop on top of it,
a giant size skyscraper.
Yeah. So, is that right? Yeah, you can see it here. Plopped on top.
So on top of...
Yeah, we're standing here now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the side of this building.
And up is going to be a skyscraper.
That's part of the Sun Yat-sen Heritage Trail. So, I mean, this part of it's there. So it could kind of be all integrated.
So now what's the...
So the site is quite awkward. Actually, this building was built a while ago.
So this has already been gentrified, as it were.
This is what we're going to get, yeah.
We're going to get another building like this.
Much to the chagrin of the Urban Renewal Authority, the site next to it, which is now under construction, it was taken over by Henderson. And that's going to be another high-rise.
Right.
Henderson did center stage. Right, this group of buildings will go, according to the URA plan. And it's really unfortunate because they really illustrate the potential. You have this little narrow building here that got recently renovated. You know, it's not an architectural masterpiece, but how nice is it? I mean, it has this kind of nice texture of a small building in a block. You know, it's different. There's variety. Then you got the building next to it, which has a few nicely renovated units.
And this is the unit.
That's the one that I showed
right?
you, the one that has the full length. Yeah. So, and then down there is Soho, where you see other individual buildings and businesses obviously renovated and so on. So the question is, you know, the character of real cities is always about a certain texture. You know. So the uniformity that you get from those big developments where you take, you know, you clear, you know, 15 plots of land and build 2 towers and, you know, and 1 podium, that takes away from that diversity and the interest and the visual interest and the commercial interest that you get when things get developed piece by piece. And that's what you're seeing on this block. And what URA is going to do is basically remove all of these, you know, in one fell swoop and give it to a developer to build something else.
So it's really the difference between texture and monotony.
Yeah, between texture and character and monotony. And, you know, it's going to be all gone, and then someone like Henderson, you know, what you get is another center stage.
Just another center
stage. And also, at that point, only the big guys can bid on it because it's such a big site that you know, so the individuals, the entrepreneurs, you know, do this building didn't take, you know, you don't need to be Chen Kong to do this little building. I mean, that could be something that a relatively small-scale developer can do. And then you get also, you know, sort of different architects doing different pieces. So again, you get the visual variety, you get the commercial variety because smaller, you know, more localized businesses. And that's what makes cities interesting and full of character. Turning them all into like IFC Mall and center stage, that's where Hong Kong is going.
Yeah.
Unless we stop the trend.